Hey, Pete here for Studio Live today. Now we have ourselves a brand new version of GarageBand in iOS, and today I'll be taking you through all of the new features we have here in version 2.3 of GarageBand on iOS. Let's go. So here we are, we have just installed the new version. I have not even opened this or played with this yet. We have the welcome screen here. What is new in GarageBand? We have the GarageBand sound library where we can download even more instruments, sounds, and loops directly inside GarageBand. Sounds pretty cool. We have a new beat sequencer where we can quickly build beats using an interface inspired by classic drum machines. I know that is a feature that a lot of the people into electronic music will be really happy about. You'll be able to make your own beats and grooves right here in GarageBand. And we have support for iOS 11, so we can tap into more sharing options from third-party developers with the Files app in iOS 11. So here we are, the complete feature list tells us what's new in GarageBand for iOS here in version 2.3. So we have the sound library. We can use the new sound library to download additional free instruments, loops, and sound packs. We have our beat sequencer, which we talked about being able to do our own build, our own grooves, and we have support for iOS 11 and more. So here's our additional features. We have an updated for Super Retina display on the iPhone X. I don't have an iPhone X or an iPhone 10. I don't care what you want to call it. But if you do, or if you're planning to buy one, GarageBand will now support your new display. Nice. We have 3 new drummers who play percussions in the style of pop, Songwriter, and Latin. And that little exclamation mark tells us that we're going to have to download our Latin drummer. We can play and record using traditional instruments from China and Japan, including, and I'm going to butcher these names, the Guzheng, the Koto and Taiko Drums. And once again, we have a little asterisk telling us that we will need to download those. Enables a larger audio unit extensions view for compatible third-party instruments and effects. So if you use those third-party instruments and effects, it's just going to make your life easier in GarageBand by the sounds of it. We'll take a look at that in a moment. My favorite new feature, recording, mixing, and exporting a song can be done at 24-bit audio resolution. So if you know anything about audio quality, 24-bit is currently the standard for maximum clarity, lowest noise floor, and the best quality audio recordings. So now that we can actually record, mix, and then export the song at 24-bit as opposed to 16-bit, which was the previous best, it's actually going to give us a much better quality recording. So that should silence a lot of those critics who say that GarageBand is not a professional recording workstation, because now we have that 24-bit audio resolution, which I'm really looking forward to getting in and playing with. And a drum roll, please, for the feature I know you have all been waiting for, which is the iMessage sticker pack that adds GarageBand instrument icons into your iMessage messages. So now when you're working on that GarageBand track and you want to iMessage your friend and tell them all about it, you don't have to rely on those generic icons. You can use your Okay, I can't even pretend to have enthusiasm over that, but good on them, good on you. If you love iMessage, go your hardest. And here is our welcome message upon startup. So the My Songs browser is updated to support iOS 11 and the Files app. So this is pretty cool because previously, or since iOS 11, you've been able to use the Files app, but you've really just had to dump them in whatever generic folder you wanted to choose. Now we've got this very specific GarageBand folder that we can use for our file transfers. So that's got to be a good thing. Okay, here we are in our interface now. So you can see there's been some small changes here. We've got a recent and a browse option here on our front screen where we can go in, and now that we have these file locations, we can go and browse for our different tracks, which are now being stored in our iCloud drive, or the ones that we actually have on our iPad here are in this folder here in GarageBand. So this is your classic interface, I guess, which we used previously, that has all of our tracks. And then we can go directly into iCloud Drive, Google Drive, other locations to save and retrieve our projects. So that will be a really good addition to make sure that we have backups of files that we're working on at the time. Okay, so let's now go in and hit Create Document, which is an interesting way to say a new project, but whatever. So we're creating a new document, and you can see here that some of our instruments now have these additional things that we can do. We've got the sound library there, and we've got all of these little numbers here telling us we've got additional things to download. So let's go ahead and download those. I'm going to tap on the more sounds, and it's going to jump into our sound library, which is our brand new shiny place to add things in GarageBand. And it looks as though this will be the place where Apple will put any new things that they want to put out there that we can download. At the moment, they are all new and free and shiny. I'm sure over time we'll have the ability and the pleasure of being able to pay for additional sound packs in the library if we choose to. So let's go ahead and download all of these because they all look kind of cool. So let's tap here on the Japanese traditional, and you can see it's very much like the iTunes store in that we have the ability to hit the get button to bring these instruments into our GarageBand. So I'm going to hit get on this one, and then tap out here, and let's go ahead and grab our beat sequencer kits. Looks very cool. Download that, and we're going to get the Edges and Angles Future Bass Pack. That sounds very cool. Looking forward to playing with that one. We'll come down here now to the Gozadera Latina, and we'll get that one. We'll grab our drummer pack for our percussion. We'll grab our rock drummers. I'm looking forward to checking out our rock drummers. Chinese traditional may not get a whole lot of coverage from me, but they're always fun to play with. Our tone collection. Now this looks cool. 22 new guitar effect sounds. Let's definitely grab that one. If we can press a button. And that is it. So that's all 8 of our new packs that we have here in the sound library. So I am now going to go and make myself a cup of tea, grab a beer, and I'm going to come back once these are downloaded and let's check out these new features. I can't wait. Okay, we are back, and I have my refreshments. Sorry, I'm drinking Canadian beer despite being Australian. We don't drink Foster's, in case you have that misconception. Anyway, I'm getting off track. We have some brand new features here in GarageBand to check out, and I'm going to start with... Oh, drum roll. What shall I start with? These world instruments, these always are really cool and interesting. So we've had the pipa and the erhu before. Let's see what our koto is going to do. This looks pretty cool. Okay. Oh, that's awesome. I love it. So we have chords and notes. We're in notes at the moment. We have chords. What does chords sound like? Okay, very cool. And then so we seem to be able to move up and down the strings. This does, what does this do? Let's try it. Okay, that's very cool. So I'm assuming that is in line with the tempo, but when we hold down a string, okay, I'm definitely not a Japanese music expert, but that sounds super fun, and I'm definitely going to have some time playing with this instrument. Let's move on. Let's have a look at our Guzheng. I'm really sorry. I don't know a lot about these instruments. Wow, this looks cool. Does this do... That's awesome. I just love the scales of the Chinese and the Japanese music. It just sounds so cool. It's just that, what is it? Pentatonic. Again, my music theory is not what it was once. And do we have the same thing here? Just makes you want to create something cool with these instruments, but that'll be for another day. We've got too much to check out. Let's continue on. I need to stop pressing that. We need to go back in and find our new drummer. This is where we start getting interesting. We have the percussion section here in drummer now. Let's see what this is all about. All right, we have Coconut Groove with Como. Yeah, we've got our Little Havana. Let's hit play and see what this sounds like. Some very cool Latin grooves there. I love this sort of stuff. And again, it just makes me want to play and record some music that has a groove like this. Doesn't that just make you nod your head and want to record something cool with a groove like that? Okay, so what have we got here? We can tap. We've got coconut. Oh, we've got a whole bunch of different options here. There's too many to play with here. Let's just try South Beach. That sounds kind of cool. Very cool. So we've got triangles, claves, and cowbells. We've got cabasa, maracas, and tambourine. We've got congo, bongo, and timbales. So we've got a whole bunch of very cool percussion instruments here that if we want to add some really cool hand percussion and some grooves to our tracks, we're going to be able to use this guy as our drummer, and it's going to be pretty cool. And sorry when I say this guy, I mean this girl, because it's Isabela who is playing our Latin grooves. Love it. All right, let's keep going with our percussion, and let's have a listen to Quincy. He is, oh, what is he? So Quincy's a veteran of the studio and stage, and he plays straightforward, versatile percussion grooves that complement pop, rock, and R&B. Let's hear what Quincy has to offer. I just really love the feel of these new percussionists. Quincy is definitely going to get a play. I don't know why he has no eyes. Do they all? Yeah, they all don't have eyes. Looks a bit creepy. But let's move on. Let's have a look at Finn. So Finn replaced his drum kit with a cajon, foot stomps, and hand claps to create stripped-down organic beats perfect for acoustic songwriters. This is pretty cool. A lot of the music that I record and perform is singer-songwriter stuff. So I can see myself grabbing Finn and getting him to work with some backing for some of mine. Let's have a listen to Cafe Soul, just because it sounds cool. I love it. Even just that cajon in the background is just going to be really cool. I can see myself laying that down as my click track, so I don't have to hear the tick tock tock tock. Just having Finn lay down some cajon beats behind while I'm playing some acoustic guitar sounds like it's going to be awesome. Okay, now let's have a look at our rock drummers. Now I can't actually remember all of the original drummers, but I'm pretty sure Anders is new. So he's influenced by heavy riffing rock bands. He plays grinding beats on a massive sounding kit. I like the sound of this. Let's go with his heavy hand. Sounds good. We'll have a look at some other ones. Sticks and Stones. What does this one sound like? Once again, makes you want to nod your head, and it makes me want to grab a guitar and start thrashing out some riff rock. Okay, that sounded really uncool. Anyway, so let's move on from Anders. I reckon we've definitely had Magnus and Leah before. Jesper and Maurice, I can't remember. I don't think we have any new sort of electronic beats, but maybe these guys are new. Sorry, I don't record much electronic music. Feel free to tell me otherwise. Gavin, I reckon, is new as well. What has he got? Yeah, he must be one of our new rock drummers. So, although worried that his music school training will ruin his street cred, Gavin plays complex indie rock beats on a gritty sounding kit. Gav, what have you got for us? I like it. Very nice. Vinyl only, third rail. Oh, there's a lot to choose from. What's Fixie? This could be some kind of hipster beat. Nice. I like it. I'm continue to be impressed by the drummers on this app because, look, I've used them when I've recorded EPs before, when I've recorded tracks, and they are actually really cool, and they give you a really good groove and vibe behind your tracks. So we'll do it for the new drummers for now. We'll jump out of there. Now let's head on out all the way, apparently. And let's have a look at some of these new features that we have in other parts here in GarageBand. Okay, I've paused briefly to go back to my sound library and check out these drummers that I was supposed to be looking at. And under our percussionist, we have Isabela, who's our Latin, who we've checked out. We have Finn, who's our songwriter. We also have Quincy, who's a pop percussionist. Let's just make sure we've checked out Quincy. I can't actually remember. Not drums. We want drummer. And Quincy. Where are you, Quincy? So Quincy's a veteran of the studio and stage, and he plays straightforward, versatile percussion grooves that complement pop, rock, and R&B. Let's have a listen to some of Quincy's work. So I really like that. That's a bit of a combination between the drums and these new percussion instruments. So Quincy, I like your work. You definitely might get a run in some of my tracks in the future. So the other one that we missed out before was Nikki. So she is inspired by a love of disco and years as a DJ. So she plays a bouncy, rock-infused dance beats on a processed, hard-hitting kit. So again, this is one of these crossovers, probably more of a poppy sound. Let's have a listen to Nikki. Wow, dig that snare. Let's try another one. Yeah, you can hear the processing on that kit. Not exactly what I'd normally go for, but a decent sound and something interesting if you were going to record a bit of a pop rock kind of jam. That definitely may be something that you wanted to go with. Okay, we've looked at the world instruments. We've looked at the drummer. Now, I'm going to be a bit smart here and go back to our sound library and see what we haven't looked at. So, we've looked at our percussionists, our rock drummers, our Chinese traditional, I think we have, yes. We've looked at the new touch instrument there. We've looked at our Japanese traditional, we haven't looked at the Taiko drum touch instrument and the Koto. I think we have looked at the Koto. Let's look at the Taiko drum touch instrument now. So here we are at drums. We're going to go more sounds and Japanese traditional Taiko drums. Let's play us some Taiko drums. Once again, these are all so cool. I can hear this being used as like some background to like an epic film score or in some sort of movie backing sounds thing. Again, not something that I'd probably put in any of my tracks anytime soon, but it's definitely cool to have in here. And like the previous Chinese and Japanese instruments, I just love that they're going down this path where we can get some really cool and unique sounds here in GarageBand. Okay, so we've been a bit all over the place because I really wanted to check out those new touch instruments and the new drummers and percussionists, but we should probably make sure we cover off on everything. So let's look at this Gozadera Latina pack. So we have here 300 new Apple loops. We've got 25 Alchemy Synth sounds, the 1 drum kit, and the 2 live loop grids, which we've been playing with as well. So we won't have time here to go through all of these new loops and the new synth sounds, but yeah, there's a lot of... We heard from that Latin drummer that we had that we've definitely got that new drum kit, so let's jump in and find that. So if we go in here into more sounds under drums, so there's our Latin percussion, which... So we can definitely play around with that Latin drum kit, which is going to be very cool. So because, again, we're all over the place, let's jump down here to the Beat Sequencer kit. So this is a drum kit pack, and there are 10 new drum kits that we have, which are this Beat Sequencer kit. So let's jump into drums and take a look at these and go to more sounds. And now we've got here the Beat Sequencer. So here are our 10 new drum machines. And once again, I won't go through all of these, but let's just grab electronic pop and have a play with this. I like it. So there's a heap in here that we can play with and jump in. Got two different bass sounds there. Again, for your EDM, for those that want to create some pretty cool electronic beats, we've got some really good drum machines here now, and you can see here we've got like drive and crush, we've got the low cut and high cut filters, so you can really create some interesting and new beats here in GarageBand using these 10 brand new kits that we have as part of that Beat Sequencer. That should be a lot of fun to play with. Let's jump down here to the edges and angles, and here we have a whole bunch of new Apple loops. We've got the Alchemy Synth sounds, we've got the drum kit that we've already looked at as part of our look at drums, but we'll jump back in and have a look at the actual drum kit here. And we've got 2 live loop grids. So just to have a look at these drums again, we've been very drum centric in this video, I know, but let's have a look here and go to more sounds. Actually, we can go to edges and angles and the Infinity electronic drum kit. So we've got another drum kit there as part of this, and when we have a look at the new loops in a moment, we'll see that we've got a whole bunch of new loops that are part of this pack as well. So we've kind of touched on everything here except for this tone collection. So let's have a look at this. We've got 22 guitar effect sounds. Now I don't have a guitar plugged in right now, so I'm not going to be able to showcase any of these, but I definitely want to do another video where I look at these sounds because I love recording guitars in GarageBand, and any additional sounds we have in here will be very cool to check out. So let's jump into more sounds and see what we have here. So yeah, we have a whole bunch more options here for our clean, crunchy, distorted, and processed sounds. Big sustain and our rich harmonics, lush delay, auditorium clean. So I want to come through, I want to plug in my guitar and just play with all of the, yeah, these are all part of this tone collection. You can see there under the more sounds. So this looks very cool. I want to try out all of these, and I'll do those in another video coming really soon. Okay, before we finish off here, let's just go through the last couple of features that we have. So one is audio unit extensions. Now, I don't use audio unit extensions a whole lot, as you can see by the fact that I have literally 2 external applications here, but you can see that we've now got a really nice big interface here. It's much more integrated into GarageBand. So if you are a fan of using audio units for your production, then you're going to have a lot better time using audio units here. The other thing that we're going to have a look at is our Apple loops. So to get to loops is a little bit convoluted. We need to come in here and set up a track and then go into our track view here. And we can hit on our loop option, and we just now have a whole heap of loops here ready to go. So we've got a whole bunch of instruments and a whole bunch of new sounds that have been included in a lot of these new packs that we can now bring in and start putting in our songs. So we can just drag, throw them in, and hit play. And we can start rocking out to a whole bunch of new cool Apple Loops sounds. So a lot of the new sound libraries include Apple Loops. They also include things in the Alchemy Synth. So let's scroll through to our keyboards all the way through. And if we hit on Alchemy Synth, now Alchemy Synth is only available in iPhone 6 and above, I believe, and in iPad Air and Air 2. Can't remember the exact models that you can and can't have it, but it's only in some of the iOS devices. So if you don't have it, you'd probably already know that anyway, because you haven't had it since it came out a while ago. But we now have a whole bunch of new options here in the Alchemy Synth that we can play with. So there is just so many options now that we have, and they're all sort of included in all of these other. There we go. You can see there the blooming bass is part of the edges and angles. And when you scroll through, you can see there which ones are part of those different packs. So you can work out what is new and what you've had before. If you want some thick liquid bass, which sounds a bit disturbing, then you can go and include that in your next track. So there we go. Far from a comprehensive overview of the brand new version 2.3 of GarageBand here on iOS, I do need to jump back into this tone collection for guitars, and I do need to play around a lot more with some of these new drums and drummers, but there's definitely a whole lot of really good content here in this new update, so I'd highly recommend jumping in and grabbing the update, downloading all of these free packs. I'm assuming they're going to be free forever, but you never know. So jump in, upgrade your version of GarageBand, and be on the lookout for a whole bunch more videos as I start exploring a lot of these new options we have here in GarageBand. And I'm really keen to jump in and do a new recording so I can hear the sound quality of that 24-bit encoding and recording that we're now going to have here in GarageBand. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time around.